Why are they so precious? What is the plan? Why do the elites want to do this?
Because, my opinion, and once again, the folks that support Alipac.us that are on our email alert system, they have a lot of different beliefs about why this is happening. We can all disagree on the whys, Alex. What we have to agree on is what to do about it, okay? But my personal, I guess you would say professional opinion is that there have been economic unions forged in every major hemisphere of the planet, Asia, Europe, Africa, and most recently, Amerisol, whatever they formed down there in South America, where they're going to have the loan currency for the whole continent. Americans would never go for that. We're very distinct, free people, and we would certainly never voluntarily vote for or support merging our nations with a place like Canada or Mexico. Canada doesn't allow Second Amendment rights or First Amendment rights like America does, and Mexico is a third world money pit that would cost trillions to try to bring it up to our standards, and even then, no telling if it would hold or not. So, what do you do? If you want to build an economic union and the people of America are the most free people on the planet, and, oh, yes, that's right, historically, they're the people that have the latest record for standing up to people that want to do this type of global stuff and telling them no and shutting it down, what do you do to overpower them? What do you do to enslave them? What do you do to replace them? What do you do to degrade them? You certainly don't attack them like a Pearl Harbor. You don't want to get their ire up. You don't want to get their industrial base up. You wear them down with the death of 1,000 cuts. You take away their ability to produce things. And you systematically put people of different ethnicities and races and nationalities from around the world in positions of elevated power and authority over the American citizens until we couldn't fight back. We're so trapped in that all of a sudden they're going to merge the economies, and they're telling just what they're telling us now, that they've already merged the labor force and they've merged the consumer markets, and they're telling us that even though our Constitution, existing laws say that they can't do that, that it's not going to change. So, in my opinion,
take Obama last week when he criticized what Arizona was doing. He was at a commencement for people who've been in the military years who were just now getting their green cards. So, and we know the biggest Army Marine Corps recruiting centers in Mexico City. Our military's being converted into foreigners. They're just wearing American uniforms.
Yeah, the last thing, they're suppressing freedom of speech with the attacks and the raise card. They're trying to pass the amnesty to turn 15-plus million illegal aliens and soon to be their relatives into voters to replace it to the ballot box. And the last thing they'll do is take up the guns. They will take up the guns last because we're some of the last people, free people on the planet that has private gun ownership, and they want to touch that one lastly. But their plan is in jeopardy, Alex. Their plan is in jeopardy because they know that a heavy political hand is going to fall this November, and they know that their time to get this amnesty through has pretty much expired. So I would tell the public that, in my book, once their political options are out, then the real crazy stuff that I don't want to get into today can start happening as they try to continue this elitist.
No, let's get into it. They're going to activate the groups. It was what Rob Allen and co. out of Dallas with George Bush 5 years ago. It was in the Dallas Morning News that actually funded the illegal alien rallies. And the establishment's going to activate the illegals to burn down major cities and call them civil rights activists. And the government's going to stage terror attacks and blame it on the Tea Parties. And then when the illegals riot, they're called freedom fighters. When citizens even have free speech, we're going to be called racist.
Well, I believe where I would diverge with you on that, Alex, is if the illegals riot, I think it's all over for them. I think the American public is waking up. The question is, are they waking up fast enough? If they start burning stuff on a major scale, it's all going down. But you're right about cracking down on us, and that's another thing back to Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham was sitting down at the negotiating table with Senator Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, and your favorite and mine, Janet Napolitano, the chief of Homeland Security, whose business it is to be in your business and know all of your business. She's the keeper of secrets, the knower of secrets. And Graham's sitting down with her and every member of Congress. She's lobbying Congress for amnesty. Our top law enforcer in the country is sitting there lobbying members of Congress for amnesty. Now, tell me, Alex, do you feel that gives a certain information access advantage to the lobbyist?
It absolutely does, and we have Homeland Security in the MIAC and Homeland Security reports that we were given by law enforcement last year saying their main enemy is the American people. And we also now have the FBI director saying he's as worried about domestic groups as Al-Qaeda. So we're now learning this is all for us, the true Americans, regardless of what color we are. If you're for sovereignty and if you're for the Bill of Rights, you're the enemy. And Janet Napolitano is spying on you, and she's there promoting total legalization of the illegal aliens.
Now, there are other people around this scenario that have what I consider to be, Graham's shared secret, and the message is to them, look what just happened to your boy Lindsey. So, let's not have to go there. And all they really need to do, and I don't know if they can do it, I don't know if some of them can find it in their heart, like the Grinch did one day, to back off trying to wreck this country or not. It would be great if they would just stand down and let things return here and let the people of the United States have back our government and civilian control of the U.S. government immediately, because I don't think that violence can be avoided if that doesn't happen. And people like me who advocate for peace and political measures, I'm running out of time, Alex. When they start demonizing tens of millions of Americans as threats to, the nation because of their politics, because of their political views, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not engaging in the name calling that goes on when I say, as a political scientist, that I believe you have to go back to Nazi Germany or Joseph Stalin's Russia to find examples of that happening.
Well, absolutely. I mean, did you see the ADL come out and say that opponents of Obamacare and opponents of amnesty are racist and need to have law enforcement used against them? And they're now all over the news saying maybe we should shut down the internet, maybe we should shut down free speech. I mean, they know they're criminal. They know they've robbed the country blind. They know we're waking up to the banking takeover that's happening. We know the big J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs of the world, Ford Foundation, you name it, are funding the illegals. We know they want to bring in this North American Union and break our back. So they're all in. They're going for broke.
That's why I tell everybody out there listening, this is it. For the last year and a half, AliPac and many of our allies, we've been trying to stop three things we've called the nation breakers. And I think I may have even mentioned this on your show early in the year last year. We've been trying to stop them from officially silencing free speech, because this conversation between you and me would not fly in Canada, and both of us be in front of a tribunal faster, than you can shake a leg, to try to stop them from abridging Second Amendment rights and try to stop them from passing the amnesty. We've done that for the most part. I mean, they may spring back up with the amnesty and resurrected vampire bill again, but, folks, the primaries that are going on right now in this country, like down in Arizona between J.D. Hayworth and John McCain, you better know who the friend of the purse people is and who isn't, okay?
You better get rid of John McCain, who suddenly has gone from being the maverick commie to now being Mr. Patriot. We've got to get rid of John McCain.
John McCain came out as Mr. Secure Borders on the Monday after I traveled through 3 cities with thousands of people chanting, secure the borders, secure the borders. And when I mentioned the names Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham, they booed them all. They didn't just boo the Democrats, Alex. The Tea Party folks booed them all. Those Tea Party people that are being maligned out there are the people who play by the rules in this country. Some of the safest, nicest people pick up their own trash when they leave people in the country, and they're being demonized. And I saw something that I want to mention on your show. I haven't said to anybody. I was trying to get out of Houston to get to Nashville for my second gig on Friday the 16th up in Murfreesboro. And I was very tired, and I came through security, and I'm trying to get my shoes on right, because, in airport security, it's hard sometimes to get your shoes on right there. And I sat down, and I look up, and there is this heavyset black woman in a little room that looks like a see-through wall room, like maybe blast panels.
They were grabbing her breast.
No, they had a 75-plus-year-old little old Tennessee lady out of her wheelchair and had her standing there, not just wanding her, but groping her and wanding her for 10 minutes. And I'm staring, and her son or whoever the relative is standing back there with her wheelchair is waiting and watching. And I just stared. I'm like, there's something so wrong here. And as they were finally wheeling out, I approached and I was like, ma'am, I just want to say that's one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. And the guy's like, well, we're used to it when we travel. And I said, well, To my knowledge, a little old lady over 70's never harmed an aircraft in the history of aviation. They're putting Americans like me, like this little old lady, making her stand out of her wheelchair and go through this degradation. And Alex, if you or I live to be 75 years old, may it not to be get groped down in public in front of people. For 10
let me
minutes.
stop you. Christina Ebersol, who's a movie star, called me Sunday, and she's coming on tomorrow. She was flying through, and they demanded to grab her breast, and now. And they admit it's an act of humiliation. Naked body scanners, they grab the woman's breast, they squeeze, they grab your genitals and squeeze, and it's, we're the government, we own you now. It's brainwashing. It has nothing to do with terrorism. And I was going to go one further. We've been on planes, and my crew's seen it, with illegal aliens being let on planes without IDs. So,
Bingo.
Go ahead.
Bingo. And our air marshals have been instructed not to tamper with illegal aliens, even when there's large groups of 20 or 30 of them, and they're all bragging in Spanish about how they're illegal and flying on a plane.